From the 1st to the 3rd century, the Roman Empire was basically the richest and most powerful economy in the world. It ruled over huge territories across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, making tons of money through taxes, trade, and farming. Provinces supplied important stuff like grain from Egypt, gold from Spain, and spices from the East. The Mediterranean Sea was like a giant trade highway, linking Rome to India and China through the Silk Road. Plus, Rome's crazy advanced road system made it super easy to transport goods and do business. In the 4th century, the Gupta Empire was the richest and most powerful economy in the world, ruling over northern India. This era, known as the Golden Age of India, was a time of huge progress in trade, science, and culture. The economy was booming thanks to farming, trade, and craftsmanship. The fertile land along the Ganges River produced crops like rice, wheat, and sugarcane, while artisans made textiles, jewelry, and pottery. The empire had strong trade links with Rome, China, and Southeast Asia, selling silk, spices, and precious metals. The Guptas spent big on infrastructure, building roads and irrigation systems to boost farming and trade. In the 5th and 6th centuries, the Eastern Roman Empire was the richest and most powerful economy in the world. It carried on the legacy of Rome in the East, with Constantinople as its bustling capital, connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa. The economy was booming thanks to farming, trade, and manufacturing. Fertile lands in Egypt and Anatolia produced tons of grain and olive oil, while the empire controlled key trade routes like the Silk Road and Mediterranean sea lanes, making business flow between China, India, and Persia. Under Emperor Justinian I, the Byzantines went big on infrastructure, building masterpieces like the Hagia Sophia and an advanced road system. With a strong economy and a prime location, the empire stayed on top for centuries. During the 7th to 9th centuries, the Tang dynasty was the richest and most powerful empire in the world. This was China's golden age, a time of booming trade, culture, and innovation. The economy was fueled by farming, trade, and industry. New irrigation systems and faster-growing rice led to a huge increase in food production. The Silk Road was a major moneymaker, with China exporting silk, ceramics, and paper, while importing spices, gemstones, and horses. The Grand Canal, one of the biggest infrastructure projects of the time, made travel and trade between northern and southern China way easier. In the 8th century, the Abbasid Caliphate was the wealthiest and most powerful empire in the world, stretching from North Africa to Central Asia. Its capital, Baghdad, was a booming trade and cultural hub, earning the nickname City of Peace. The economy was built on farming, trade, and craftsmanship. The fertile lands of Mesopotamia and Egypt produced tons of grain, dates, and cotton, while skilled artisans made luxury textiles, glassware, and ceramics. The Abbasids controlled major trade routes, including the Silk Road and Indian Ocean, linking them to China, India, and Europe. In the 11th and 12th century, the Song dynasty was the richest and most advanced empire in the world, leading in trade and tech. The economy boomed thanks to farming, trade, and industry. Innovations like fast-growing rice and better irrigation meant tons of extra food, which helped the population grow. The Song dynasty also expanded sea trade, shipping silk, porcelain, and tea to India, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. They even introduced paper money and advanced banking systems, making trade easier than ever. And they invented gunpowder, movable-type printing, and advanced ships. In the 13th century, the Mongol Empire was the biggest and most powerful empire in the world, ruling over the largest land empire in history. Led by Genghis Khan and his successors, the Mongols brought Europe, the Middle East, and Asia together through trade and conquest. The economy thrived on trade, taxes, and tribute. The Mongols took over the Silk Road and made it safer, which supercharged trade between China, the Islamic world, and Europe. They collected tons of wealth from conquered lands, while also encouraging free trade across their empire. During the 14th and 15th centuries, the Ming dynasty was the richest and most powerful economy in the world, bringing China back to greatness after kicking out the Mongols. The Ming government pushed for better irrigation and large-scale farming, boosting rice and tea production. China became famous for its silk, porcelain, and fine textiles, exporting them across land and sea. The legendary explorer Zheng He led massive treasure fleets, expanding trade and Chinese influence as far as Africa and the Middle East. In the 16th century, Spain was the richest and most powerful country in the world, ruling over a massive global empire during the Age of Discovery. Spain's economy ran on gold, silver, and global trade. Colonies in Mexico and Peru pumped out insane amounts of gold and silver, making Spain unbelievably rich. This flood of wealth powered European economies and cemented Spain's status as the financial giant of the time. In the 17th century, the Dutch Republic was basically the world's economic powerhouse, kicking off the Golden Age of the Netherlands. The Dutch made their fortune through trade, shipping, and finance. The Dutch East India Company and Dutch West India Company ran massive global trade networks, dealing in spices, textiles, and precious metals across Asia, Africa, and the Americas. Their merchant fleet was the biggest and most advanced, dominating global shipping. In the 18th century, the Qing dynasty was the richest and most powerful economy in the world, ruling over a massive empire with the biggest population. Beijing was the political and cultural heart, while cities like Guangzhou were booming with international trade. The economy thrived on farming, trade, and manufacturing. The Qing expanded farmland, improved irrigation, and introduced high-yield crops like rice and sweet potatoes, which led to a huge population boom. Chinese silk and tea were in high demand worldwide, and the Canton system controlled trade with Europe, keeping the profits flowing. With a strong government, infrastructure, and stable economy, China stayed on top. In the 19th century, Britain was the richest and most powerful country in the world, leading the Industrial Revolution and expanding its empire across the globe. London became the world's financial capital, home to the Bank of England and the biggest stock exchange of the time. The economy boomed thanks to industry, trade, and resources from its colonies. Britain was at the forefront of steam engines, railways, and factory production, revolutionizing industries like textiles, steel, and coal mining. The British Empire stretched across India, Africa, and the Americas, supplying raw materials and creating massive markets for British goods. With the British Navy ruling the seas, trade routes were secure, and money kept flowing into the empire. Britain also built modern banking, transportation, and finance systems, making it the economic giant of the 19th century. From the 20th century to today, the US has stayed the world's richest and most powerful economy, leading in tech, finance, and global trade. The economy boomed with industry, innovation, and consumer culture. In the 20th century, the US led in manufacturing, cars, and oil, with giants like Ford, GM, and ExxonMobil shaping global markets. After both world wars, the US became a superpower, boosting growth through the Marshall Plan and international trade. By the late 1900s, computers, aerospace, and media took off, thanks to companies like IBM, Boeing. In the 21st century, the US kept its lead, shifting toward tech, digital innovation, and finance. Companies like Apple, Google, Amazon, and Tesla transformed industries, while Wall Street stayed the heart of global finance.